How's it going, everybody? Jerz here to more Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I recently completed the game on hard mode. I got all the achievements. I got the platinum achievement. Today I just want to kind of go over with you guys the materia I used. So it's very simple. I didn't really change my materia all that much throughout the playthrough. If I did change, I'd maybe change 2 or 3 things at most, but everything else would stay the same. So we're going to go over things I used here, weapons I used. This is after I've beaten Sephiroth already, so let's go ahead and get straight into the materia. So, pretty much for the entirety of the game, I had Elemental and Fire on Cloud. It's very powerful against humans. You'll occasionally switch this depending on the enemy. If you're fighting Rude, you can switch this to Wind because he's weak to wind, things of that nature. If you're fighting Reno, for example, he does a lot of electricity attacks. You'll want to swap your Elemental and combo it with Lightning and put this on your armor. So you'd want to, like so. That way you'd absorb his lightning attacks and Reno would actually be healing you. So if you've played the game, of course you've played the game on normal or easy beforehand, you already know what's coming up, then you can prepare for it. And that's what makes hard mode a bit easier. So this was one of the things I did, and I leveled all my materia up at the Coliseum. I just farmed in there. Once you make it to New Game Plus and you unlock Chapter Select, the AP gain is tripled. So each fight, there's 5 fights, and each fight was getting me about 30 AP, so I was getting about 150 AP per run. And if you comboed something with AP up, you get 300 AP per run. If you don't know what AP up is, it starts off as a materia called the pedometer, and you get this, I think, in chapter 14, I believe, or 15. It's really hard to miss. But it's called pedometer. You pick it up, you do 5,000 steps with it. You gotta walk with it. It's like hatching an egg in Pokemon. And then once the steps are completed, it turns into AP up, and then you can go and farm AP with this. And that's literally how I got all my materia leveled up to where it is now. So Elemental Fire, that's something I use on Cloud for majority of the playthrough, except for fights that I knew I needed to switch this up. So, take it as a grain of rice. First Strike, I had this on Cloud 24/7. I never took this off of him. The ability to be able to have a head start on the enemy is massive. Most fights, I just have Cloud do a triple strike, and he will wipe out most enemies, especially humans. He'll just destroy them, unless they're the higher health ones. And you could even stun monsters with this and start their pressure gauge already. So First Strike, triple slash is really awesome. That's definitely, if you're just starting out in hard mode, keep in mind that combination. It's going to help you early on, even later on. I even found myself triple striking Sephiroth occasionally. It was a move I used throughout the entire playthrough on hard mode. I also have healing. Every character I have healing magic on, and revival. Revival, it costs a lot to max out. I think it's like 5,000 AP, but you get it early on in the game, and it seems like, man, that's gonna take forever. Just slap AP up on it when you do get it. Jump into the Coliseum. It's the 3-person battle. I actually have a video on it. I'll link it in the description or the little card thing, and you can see the Coliseum battle I was spamming over and over. But once you get to New Game Plus, the AP is tripled. So what you see in that video, it's that fast, but just more AP. So revival and healing I have on every character. HP up, Cloud's at 7,200 here with a maxed HP up. And I also gave Cloud both of the luck up materia. The more luck you have, the more crits you do. And I found it beneficial for him because he attacks so fast and he does some good things. I also gave him lightning. My favorite magic is lightning and fire because they cast so quickly. I'm not really a big fan of blizzard or wind. They just take too long and the enemy can just walk out of it. But in certain fights, you when you know the enemy's weakness, you have to put those different magic on. So if you get a stagger on an enemy, that's the time to drop that blizzard. That's the time to drop that wind. And other situations where I find wind and blizzard are good. Let's say I'm on cloud. I have the person aggression on me. Rude, for example, he's coming to punch the crap out of me, and then I have Aerith in the back casting Aroga. You know, that's a good situation where they can work out. But when you just cast it on its own, and they just run out of it, it's sad because you just waste all that mana, all that MP, and it didn't do anything. So that's why personally, fire and lightning are my two favorite magics. So this is what I ran on Cloud. I also have an MP up on him because the weapon I ran on him was the what is this? The Twin Stinger, and it actually comes with a lot of MP on there because of the upgrades. So that's why I only ran one MP up on Cloud. So next character. Oh, also I gave him the Behemoth Materia because it gave him the most offense. When it came to offense, physical offense, attack, it had the highest. All right, it had the stats that I liked the most. And also compared to Ifrit, you know, I had a little bit more MP and I had a little bit more magic attack, which helps. The more magic attack you have, the more damage you do with your fire, your lightning, and those are things I'd used with Cloud often as well. So Behemoth was a good choice to put on him. Now moving on to Tifa. Now for her, through the entire playthrough on Tifa, I had MP absorption, and whichever element the enemy was weak to, majority of the playthrough I had fire on here. Even if they were weak to ice, I had fire because I'll do some damage and I'll get some MP back. And this is something I don't think a lot of people really run MP absorption, but it'll really help you save your MP. Also HP up. This is something, these are things, Materia I've had on the entire playthrough here. So I never touched this. I never took this off of her. Never took that off of her. She had HP up on the entire playthrough. First Strike, having that extra ATB bar. You're having two of these, one on each character. Awesome. Revival, I have this on every character. MP up. Her MP is really low, especially compared to Cloud. I gave her Ifrit for the physical damage. Magic up, just to help her spells do a little oomph. So when I hit people, the stronger the fire damage hits them, the more MP I'm going to absorb, the more MP I'm going to get back, essentially. I found some enemies, if they were weak to fire, I hit them with a Fira, I would actually get more MP back than I lost. It didn't happen every time, but sometimes it would pay off to have this because you would get more MP back than what you used. Healing, because I have this on everyone, and another MP up, because her MP up is her MP is so low. Let's actually put the MP ups together. There we go. So MP ups, one magic up. You could actually switch this to whatever you like, but this is what I had for the entire playthrough. 2 MP ups, magic up, healing, revival, first strike, HP up, fire, and MP absorption. This was Tifa to the T. I never changed her materia ever, and she had Ifrit permanently as well. I could also put Fat Chocobo here too. You'll lose some defense, but you gain 200 life. Alright, so next character. Aerith was one of the characters where I shared her materia with Barret. When I lost Aerith, and we got Barret, then I would literally just swap the exact materia I had on there. Also for weapons, I had Purple Pain on Tifa. You can see the gear I have on there. Before Cloud got that limit break thing, I used to run Champion Belt on him for extra health and weapon damage. Same with Tifa. But once I got these upgrades, I put them on because they're super useful. So now moving on to Aerith. Magnify Healing, that was something I ran the entire playthrough. Something I used in long drawn-out fights. I would do Magnify Regen, and that would keep your health going the whole time. Especially in the Sephiroth fight, there's a lot of little fights where they're jumping from platforms, and the regen is still ticking. So, little things like that add up. You can get a couple hundred health back. I think every second I was getting like 72 health on Cloud. back due to regen in the Sephiroth fight. Prayer, very valuable if you don't want to use any mana. Fights like the Haunted Graveyard, that last enemy, he will cast Reflect on your whole party. And if you cast Curaga on yourself, and you do, let's say you did Magnify Curaga, and instead of healing yourself, everyone for 6,000, it's going to bounce off of you guys, and you're going to heal the boss for like 18,000 health. I don't remember the number, but I saw him getting healed, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this. Prayer is your friend when he casts Reflect on you. Prayer is your friend no matter what, because it saves you from having to use mana. So my biggest abilities throughout the playthrough, I would cast Regen on the group, and I would use Prayer as much as possible. Revival, very important. I always ran Fire and Lightning on her as well because they're just fast casting abilities. And again, depending on the enemy you're fighting, in the Sephiroth fight, I found that she was getting hit by Sephiroth's Thundaga a lot. So I put Elemental, Materia, and Lightning on there so she could absorb that and get a free healing. Also have an MP up and an HP up, and I gave her the Fat Chocobo just so she could reach 8,000 health. Without Fat Chocobo, she falls down to 7,800. I just liked her being at 8,000. And this is more or less what I ran the entire playthrough. I would occasionally switch this to up here. And a lot of the time, I would run this. Let's say you're in an area, you know, when you're on your way to Wall Market, you're doing a little tunnel, and there's those flying drakes, the cerulean drakes. You go ahead and swap this lightning out for wind, and they will get staggered really quick. So for little instances like that, I will slap wind on really fast just to get through those enemies, save yourself mana, save yourself healing. Once you're done with them, I go back to lightning. I found lightning was a really good thing to have on, or fire. Your choice, really what you're comfortable with. And if you're finding a lot of enemies are using fire against you, etc., you know, you go ahead and just put that on your armor and they'll heal you. But yes, MP up, HP up. Let's go ahead and put that other HP up down here. I like to keep them together. This HP up wasn't even maxed. But it still helped her a lot. So I gave her 1 MP up. She had Fire, Revival, Prayer. I used to run a second Prayer on Tifa, and then I just found that I didn't really need it. It was just overkill on prayers. But with Healing Magnify, you do a regen, you're going to be good for that fight. If you guys are really getting hurt, you know, do a Cura. Cura on a 340 magic attack Aerith is going to actually heal you a ton. And emergency, you do that Curaga, everyone's going to be full health. Instant full health. And it's just really strong. But this is the setup I ran here. For Aerith, I had the Reinforced Staff. I gave her the Healing Carcanet, so it increases your healing done. Or sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce it, but Carcanet, I believe. And, you know, it got the job done. At the ending of the game, since I was swapping with Barret, at the ending here, I actually couldn't swap with him for the Sephiroth fight. Throughout the game, I kept Aerith and Barret swapping, of course. But for the Sephiroth fight, I actually couldn't. You can't swap in between. You know, you fight the Whispers, and then you go straight to Sephiroth fight. So I actually just gave him whatever I had. We gave him Chakra. So I would have him take damage for the group. He would do his Iron Skin, and he would do the other ability where if my allies get hurt, he takes the damage instead. And then I would use Chakra. Use 1 ATB bar and get a crap ton of healing back. So that was very valuable for him. I gave him the other Prayer just to heal the group so we don't have to keep wasting mana. I gave him a baby heal because I didn't have a fourth one maxed out. And I didn't have any revival materia to give him, so when I did those battles, I just prayed that nobody died, and I gave him some baby HP ups because I didn't bother leveling up extras. I have just enough materia to max out 3 characters because that's what I used. But for the Sephiroth stage, it may be safe to have another healing materia maxed out. Just have a 4th one because you're not going to be able to interchange. But this is just what I did in the Sephiroth fight. But for the real story, whatever Aerith has on is what Barret had on. and etc. You know, and etc. etc. So guys, this is what I ran pretty much for the entire story. I didn't do any crazy combinations. I didn't. You know what enemies are coming up, then you know what materia up, and it's gonna make it real simple. But prayer is definitely MVP. When I have to pick MVP materia here, let's start off at Cloud. Elemental materia with whatever you combo it with. If it's on your armor, your weapon, I find its value is really strong on the armor because you can absorb so much damage, especially when you're fighting like Shiva, if you're trying to do that quest, Ifrit, things of that nature. Sephiroth, whatever element he picks, he could heal you essentially if you're lucky enough. Because it's kind of a roulette with him. He'll do wind and then fire and then ice. And Reno, of course, he's always lightning. So you just put that on your armor. Super easy fight. That's how you really make those fights easier. Save yourself from having to waste MP is just knowing what's coming up soon. The first playthrough is really the toughest time I had on the game because I was not prepared. I had no materia. You guys were in the same situation. And the second playthrough, I made sure I farmed, got everyone to level 50, leveled up all the materia I needed. And I felt I was very prepared for the hard playthrough. And I actually completed the hard playthrough faster than I did my normal playthrough. The normal playthrough took me 49 hours. I finished hard in 89 hours and 21 minutes. So I scratched off about 9 hours on the hard mode playthrough. Alright, so MVP, Elemental, combo that with anything for weapon or armor. First Strike is definitely one of the best materia in the entire game. And the fact that you could put this on 2 characters gives you a huge edge. Healing is amazing. Everybody could use healing. Revival, if somebody dies, you use a rise. I think it calls MP. You just bring them back full health, and it's not that slow either. It's not like doing a Faraga. HP up. I wouldn't say it's MVP. You could definitely play this with less HP, but I like to have a cushion. And a cushion, the more health you have, the easier it's going to feel. None of the luck up, I don't think is necessary. Let's go ahead and check out next. MP absorption I thought was really good because it saved me so much MP throughout the entire playthrough. Since I have First Strike on Tifa, I would just open up fights with Aphira. Boom. And it would cost 11 and I would get back 10, whatever. And that would mean that the fire cost 1 MP in that case. So MP absorption, huge clutch. First Strike, still amazing. Next, Aerith. Prayer is definitely an MVP because you can heal the entire party without using any MP at all. And again, Elemental and Magnify with healing I found was great because you do regen on the team, and when the enemies are not concentrating on two people, they're just trying to fight you, then they're gaining a ton of health back. They're getting a lot of health over time because of the regen. So guys, this is what I ran on my playthrough. Very simple, nothing crazy, nothing out of this world. All material that you can attain and you're going to get. You know, there's nothing here that's out of your reach. You just have to farm a little bit and level them up. That's it. So guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps somebody out. For Cloud, Triple Strike. That's right. Let's go over the abilities real quick, actually. So for Cloud, his weapons, I found Triple Slash was one of his best abilities for getting through the game because you're literally hitting, either you're hitting 3 enemies or you're hitting 1 or 2 enemies multiple times. And if they're right next to each other, let's say there's 3 dudes standing next to each other, you're going to hit all 3 of them 3 times with this ability. Amazing. When you get people under pressure, focus thrust, amazing for getting them into the stagger. Once they're staggered, Infinity's Edge, if you have enough energy to do it, make sure you're in your Punisher mode because you do a crap ton more damage. I also ran this weapon because I have Reprieve on it and it has some good damage, and I really like the MP. All the other weapons, they lack MP. This one lacks just 16 MP, but I lose 1600 health, which was the big turnoff for me. I like having at least 1600 or more. If it wasn't for the health, I'd have used the Buster Sword. Next, for her weapons, the only thing I really used with Tifa, I made sure that I had Unbridled up all the time. If an enemy is about to be staggered, I will cast Unbridled twice, just so I could get the big buff going. And then I'll try to build up 2 ATB meters really quick before they stagger. Once they stagger, I'm going to hit them with the Rise and Fall. I'm going to hit them with the Omni Strike. And then I'm going to spam 2 True Strikes. And that's going to get them well over 200%, easily 200% damage in no time. And that's how you're going to get those damage numbers up. This also really helps with the Chocobo if you're trying to do the 300% stagger on the Fat Chocobo, which a lot of people use to get that achievement. I do the same thing. I have 2 Unbridleds built up already. And once they're about to be staggered, I will start preparing. I'll start building up my meters. Once they're staggered, hit them with everything. Hit them with the 2 True Strikes. Hit them with the Rise and Fall. Hit them with the Omni Strike. And you're really going to ramp up that percent damage they're gonna take. And then Cloud come in with his Infinity Edge, and bam, 10k damage right there. But that's really the ability I used the most, was True Strike. Once they're staggered, because I think it's I think it's 30%, just one of those. Cheat Trap, I thought this was cool, but some enemies can just walk right out of it if they don't get kind of ragdolled into it. Star Shower I actually used a lot as well. I kind of compare this to Triple Slash. If enemies are grouped up, you're going to hit all of them with this. Really good. And those were really the only abilities I used on Tifa for hard mode, was Star Shower and True Strike. Next for... I guess we'll do Aerith next. So here, I actually used her Arcane Ward a lot, because it saves you so much mana. So you're going to do a Faraga. Faraga costs, what, 26 mana? And then this thing, your ward is going to cast another one. Another one for free, though. So you're casting 2 Faragas for the price of 1. So Arcane Ward, very valuable. I use that a lot. Sorcerer's Storm, if there's a lot of mechanical enemies grouped up, I'll use this. But for the most part, I had elemental damage and lightning on my weapon to compensate as well. But this, I actually use this ability. Fleeting Familiar, I will use this too. She actually has a lot of abilities that are worthwhile. Ray of Judgment, if they are staggered, you are going to melt. You are absolutely going to destroy people, bosses, anybody that is staggered. If you have 2 TB bars and everyone's health is fine, you don't really have any other duties to do, drop the Ray of Judgment. You're going to mess them up really bad. The shield I almost never used on hard mode. As interesting as it sounded, I never really put use to it because there were just other abilities that I liked. Arcane Ward was my favorite one. And this ward, I will use. This is really I would say a luxury ability. If you have the time to sneak it in there because it costs 2 bars. Of course, Ray of Judgment costs 2 as well, but that's a ton of damage. But if you have the time to sneak this in there, then this is great. Cloud is going to get so much energy back. Tifa, whoever's in your party is going to benefit greatly from this. And this is another great ability as well. Of all the characters, I say Aerith has the most abilities that I spread out and actually had balance and used evenly. I think I used everything here throughout the hard playthrough except for the shield. But the other 5, amazing. All had their place in my playthrough. It's just time and place. Know what enemies are weak to what. Know when you can cast what abilities. Arcane Ward, I think I used this in every single boss fight that she was playable in. So now we'll take a look at Barret. I got his cannon on. I got it because it gives them a lot of magic damage, and it's got the reprieve on there, so you can have another attempt. But do not sleep on this guy. Focus Shot. when someone is pressured, you hit them with these. If you have 2 ATB bars and you hit them with focus shot, they're pretty much guaranteed. Which boss was it? Arsenal? I think it was Arsenal, one of the later bosses in the game, chapter 17, or I think he was the last boss, chapter 17. I saw that dude's pressure gauge and I hit him with focus shot, and bam, not pressured, staggered every time if I had 2 ATB bars. Focus shot is amazing. I use that almost all the time when available. Lifesaver, I use this when I have chakra on. If I'm not running chakra on Barret, then I don't use this because he takes a lot of damage. But it actually is a great ability. If you combo this with Iron Skin, then it's going to help you out a lot. I'd recommend you hit the Iron Skin, do Lifesaver, and then go ahead and have Chakra on Barret, and you're going to do really well getting your health back. Maximum Fury, this is an ability I use pretty much throughout the entire playthrough. This and Overcharge, I used a lot of overcharging. There's tricks that a lot of people don't know. So you know when you're doing your regular basic attacks with Barret, and when you're done with it, he does like a little baby big shot, and then he goes to reload. Well, if you reload your overcharge during your regular reload, it'll actually be faster. It's kind of like animation canceling. So you'll actually recharge your basic attack gun and your overcharge at the same time. Just give it a shot. You'll know what I'm saying when you give it a try. But overcharge, I use that in every single fight as well, because why wouldn't you? Charging uppercut, I never used this once. Smackdown, I never used either. Maybe I should have. It could have been interesting, but I never touched it. And point blank, I never used either. So for Barret, I was focus shotting, occasionally Lifesaver, and Maximum Fury. What I used the most was Maximum Fury because as soon as it kills one enemy, it moves on to the next one. So if you're fighting a bunch of little robots, like the little ones that fly around, the little bees, he'll pretty much clear like 6 of them with 1 Maximum Fury on his own because Barret's just a beast. So guys, that's all in this Mako Crystal. This is it's for the Butterfingers. If you bought the Butterfingers, you got a little code. This was one of the rewards. Whatever, I put it on for the final boss. I normally run what is it? I normally run champion belt on him at the end of the game just to get him at maximum health for cheap. But anyway, guys, that is it for this video. Hopefully this helps somebody out. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all later. See ya.